Hello, this is just a quick blog that I will be putting on my YouTube page about homeschooling my son and my other two children. Now that I am actually homeschooling my children, as you can see if I slowly pan to the right, I have a number of different books on my shelf. Now this is only one of the shelves of books that I have in my house. I probably have about 20 to 30 bookshelves scattered all over the place. Not just here, I also still have books at families and friends' houses as well that I do need to reclaim. Now, a lot of them are very much the same, they're very similar. So, for example, I've got traditional fairy tales here. And then if you look here, I've got Brothers Grimm traditional fairy tales. But depending on the age of my child, I will try to be selective as to which book I may or may not allow them to read. This is something I will talk about in a little bit more detail at a later time. But as you can see, there is a lot of different books for different age groups on my shelves. At the moment, all three of my children are under the age of 10, so their reading capability at the moment, realistically, I would probably say is something like this, which is one of the songbird collections, which mainly focuses on phonics, which is something that children are now taught in school and the way that the national curriculum teach English. If you look on the back of a phonics book, you can actually find these online as well. So if you weren't sure what the reading age of your child was, if you were to put something like Oxford Reading Tree into Google and then put like stage 3 songbird phonics, for example, it would give you the estimated reading age for your child depending on how old they are. Now, stage 3, if I can remember correctly, is below the age of 6, which is what my child that I am actually teaching at home is reading at the moment. I also have a collection of other books that he has been quite capable of reading on his own without little or no support. So something like this, for example, Bubble and Squeak. There doesn't seem to be any real age guidance on this book, but if you were to open the pages, you can see that it's very descriptive. So even if he didn't necessarily know the words, he could probably guess what the words were based on the pictures. And that is one thing I do love about children's books, is how they have a lot of pictures in them. So again, if he didn't know words like enough, for example, or strong man, if I was to say to him, okay, break the word down, but look at the picture, what's it a picture of? He would know that that was a picture or a depiction of a person. And I would say, well, what do you think this person is doing? And again, that's another way of helping your children to read and sort of gauge the estimate as to what their reading level may be. At the moment, we have not been given any information from the school for us to work from to make a educated guess as to what my son's capabilities are with regards to English, maths, and grammar, spelling, punctuation, etc. But again, if you was to start with something like I just showed you, something like one of the phonics books, and then sort of took it from there. So if you found that the level 3 one was too easy for them and you wanted to advance, I believe that the Oxford Reading Tree, I can't seem to see one right now, so I do need to reorganise my shelf, goes up to about level 5 or 6, and then from them they might end up reading books like Biff and Kipper. Those sorts of books or were ones that I believe I used to read at school over 20 odd years ago. Or again, just basically just get any storybook that you can find, such as, this is another one that I know my son has read, with the age he is, and again, that isn't a lot of words, but there is enough for him to be quite competent in understanding words and language. So I'm not saying if you are homeschooling your children, go out and buy loads and loads of books. That isn't really a necessity. I mean, we are coming up to Christmas now. So yes, public libraries are going to be closed. Sadly, a lot of public libraries had to close during COVID. So again, if you can't afford books, I just want to point out that all of the ones here on this shelf are actually from charity shops. They are not brand new. They're not anything special. Even the level 2 A-level English, maths and science and chemistry and history over here, I never brought them brand new. They were from charity shops. They are quite old, but again, I'm hoping that some of the basic information in them will be something to help me gauge whether or not I feel that my children are ready to take their GCSEs if I continue to homeschool them over the age of 13. So, like I said, if you can't afford books, don't worry about it. Try and use your public libraries if you can. That's the only way they're going to end up staying open. I have known a lot to be closed over the years. So once it's safe to do so, I would definitely recommend using a public library. Again, with your child's library card, you would have a clear indication as to what they've read because it gets kept on record. Another thing and another way that I've been able to keep track of the books that my children read is by using Goodread. So again, if you go online and look for something like Goodread, you can set up an account. If obviously your child's under the age of 13, you would be advised to do that for them as the parent or guardian. And again, most of the time you can just take a photograph of the ISBN number, which will be on the back of the book. So that is the ISBN number. And also with Goodread, what you can do sometimes is actually take a photograph of the picture of the front cover, and automatically Goodread will recognise that book if it is in the library. 9 times out of 10, a lot of the books I've used will be trackable via Goodread. And again, it will enable you to do a number of options such as currently reading, read it, or I want to read. It will even allow you to do online book reviews, which is something I am trying to encourage my children to do, but I'm looking at doing that handwritten as opposed to being word processed. So again, I can monitor the handwriting capability of my children and how they progress with their handwriting. I'm all for modern technology, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm using it now to video, but I'm still an avid believer that children should know how to read and write and not be reliant on the internet for everything. If they are struggling, however, with reading and writing, there are a number of ways that you can support them with this now, especially if you are doing it at home. I have listed a few on my blog in the past and we'll talk about more in the future. But again, a lot of books now you can also get them on audio. So if you are struggling with reading or writing for whatever reason, there are things available, like I said, books on audio that can support you with this. So I will be going through some of that information over the next couple of weeks and months. But for now, I just wanted to show you quickly the types of books that I currently have available for my children. And another thing I do with my books is once they have been read and I feel that there's no need to keep them anymore, is they will be donated to a local charity shop. What I also tend to do with my books when I do donate them is I will put a link to a Facebook page that I manage. So if anyone does happen to come across any of my books, it would be great if you could just comment and say, yep, I found this book, this is where I found it. So again, here you can just quickly, you can see there is a dictionary. And again, I will be running an online video about how to use a dictionary. Thank you.